Hi everyone, welcome to today's session on critical reasoning. So in our previous sessions, we already discussed a few topics in our critical reasoning. Today we are going to discuss about assumptions and inferences. So what is assumption and what is inference? Are both same or any difference is there? So you see, inferences and assumptions are related, but they are distinct, different concepts. Okay, so what are actually assumptions and what are inferences? Let me first explain about assumption. Assumptions are unstated facts which lie within the statement on which the statement is based. So assumption is the base for the statement. They are unstated or implicit premises, and they are taken for granted or presumed to be true. And assumptions are often based on prior knowledge, experience, or beliefs. Okay, so assumptions are unstated facts based on which the statement depends. And what are inferences, sir? So what are inferences? Inferences are logical connections. Logical connections are implications drawn from the evidence. So inferences are actually based on observed facts, data, or premises. So inferences actually aim to explain, interpret, or draw a conclusion. So inferences can be probabilistic or they can be definitive as well. So then what are the key differences between assumptions and inferences? So as I already told you, assumptions are unstated premises, while inferences are logical connections based on evidence. And assumptions are often unexamined, while inferences are based on observed facts and data. So let me give you some basic examples to differentiate between an assumption and inference. So see here, I am giving some kind of statement. John is absent from work. John is absent from some work. It is a statement. So from this, what can be taken as an assumption? John is absent because he is sick, which is an unstated premise. So John is absent because he is sick. It is an assumption. So from the statement that John is absent from work, what can be inferred? John might be absent because he has a family emergency. He has a family emergency. So logical connection based on evidence. So like that, the assumption and inferences can be differentiated. Please see here, John is absent because he is sick. We have taken as an assumption because it is unstated premise, while the inference, John might be absent because of a family emergency, is a logical connection based on evidence. So here, that is how you can differentiate. Assumption and inference. Let me give you one more example. For example, Sita is quiet. Sita is quiet. So what can be taken as an assumption? Sita is quiet because she is shy. She is shy. It is an unstated premise, which is a assumption. And for example, now I am giving one more statement. The store is closed. The store is closed. So what can be assumed? The store is closed because it's a holiday. It is a assumption because it is an unstated premise. For example, I'm taking some person, Suresh, is shivering. Suresh is shivering. So what can be assumed? He is suffering from cold. So like that, they are the assumptions. They are the assumptions. What about the inferences? What about the inferences? Let me also explain some examples related to inferences. So for example, Giri has been studying for hours, So what can be the inference? Giri might be preparing for an exam, There is a logical connectivity. Yes or no? For example, let us say Pushpa has a guitar. So what can be inferred? Pushpa might know how to play the guitar. It is a logical connectivity based on evidence. So like that, we can have so many examples related to assumptions and inferences. For example, somebody is not answering their phone because they are ignoring. It is a assumption. Somebody is not answering the phone because she is in a meeting. It is a logical connectivity based on evidence. So try to differentiate assumption and inference. Assumptions can lead to misunderstandings, while inferences aim to explain or interpret evidence. Assumptions can lead to misunderstandings sometimes, while inferences aim to explain or interpret the evidence. I hope it is clear about the basic introduction on assumption and inference. Now let us start our worksheet. So when do you say an assumption is implicit? An assumption is said to be implicit if it is not present explicitly in the statement. Okay, and see the first one. The Mediterranean basin is characterized by having a warm and dry climate throughout this year, as well as a large number of agricultural lands, forests and deserts. So assumptions. The climate of the Mediterranean basin is not affected by seasonal changes. Deserts are more common in the Mediterranean basin than the other regions. Please see here, the Mediterranean basin is characterized by having a warm and dry climate throughout the year, as well as large number of agricultural lands, forests and deserts. So here the second one, deserts are more common in the Mediterranean basin than in the other regions, because here the Mediterranean basin is characterized by having a warm and dry climate throughout the year. So it is assumed and it is also given that the Mediterranean basin is characterized by having a warm and dry climate throughout the year, as well as a large number of agricultural lands, forests and deserts. So here the statement mentions that the Mediterranean basin is having a warm and dry climate and a large number of agricultural lands, forests and deserts. This information can be interpreted as this information, whatever is given in the statement, can be interpreted as suggesting that deserts are common in the Mediterranean basin, which is the implicit assumption in second one. So however, there is no evidence or suggestion in the statement that the climate of the Mediterranean basin is not affected by seasonal changes, which means the assumption 1 is not implicit. Assumption 1 is not implicit. Deserts are known for their arid conditions and low rainfall, and therefore the presence of deserts and warmth in the Mediterranean basin is indicative of its dry and warm climate. This is why assumption 2 can be considered to be implicit for the statement. So on the other hand, if you see, the statement does not provide any specific information about the absence of seasonal changes in the climate of the Mediterranean basin. It is well known that the Mediterranean basin region experiences mild winters and hot summers, which means that the climate is affected by seasonal changes. And therefore, assumption 1 is not implicit in the statement. I will go with only 2. Only 2. So, answer is option B. So, assumption is something on which your statement is based. The statement is based on the assumption that deserts are more common in the Mediterranean basin than in the other regions. So, option 2 is correct. Now, second question. The government has decided to make healthcare free for all citizens. So, which of the following is a implicit assumption? Option 1. Citizens will be able to access quality healthcare. Citizens will be able to afford healthcare. The government has decided to make healthcare free for all citizens, keeping the assumption that citizens will be able to access quality of healthcare. Quality of healthcare. So only one is implicit. See here, the government's decisions to make healthcare free for all citizens implies that the citizens will be able to access quality healthcare. This is because the government would not make healthcare free if it was not able to provide quality care for all citizens. Okay, so 1 is implicit. What about 2? Assumption 2 states that citizens will not be able to afford healthcare. However, since the government has decided to make it free, this assumption is not implicit in the statement. So I will go with only 1. Only 1. The government has decided to make the healthcare free for all citizens. Free for all citizens. Free for all citizens, keeping an assumption that citizens will be able to access quality healthcare. So 1 is implicit. Answer is option A. So remember, assumption is the base for the statement. What is assumed while delivering the statement is your assumption. So here A is implicit. Question number 3. Due to the increasing popularity of online shopping, retail stores are struggling to keep up the sales. So assumption 1, most people prefer to shop online. Retail stores have not adapted to the trend of online shopping. It is said in the statement that due to the increasing popularity of online shopping, retail stores are struggling to keep up with the sales. The statement is based on the assumption that the retail stores have not adapted to the trend of online shopping. That's why they are struggling. That is the assumption. That is the assumption. Based on this assumption, the statement is delivered. So it is sinking. So you can say 2 is the assumption, implicit assumption for the given statement. So answer is only 2. Most people prefer to shop online. So I don't see 1 as the implicit assumption. So assumption 1, the most people prefer to shop online is not implicit in the statement. The statement only mentions the increasing popularity of online shopping, not necessarily that most people prefer it. So we cannot assume it. So we can go for only one. Only one. Are you following? The statement describes that the popularity increasing for online shopping. So it is not assumed, we cannot say that most people are preferring online shopping. We cannot say. So that's the reason 2 is implicit assumption on which the statement is based. Now fourth question. What is the fourth question statement? The use of ebooks is increasing rapidly, leading a decline in the demand for print books. The use of ebooks is increasing rapidly, leading to a decline in the demand of print books. Now assumption 1. Ebooks are cheaper than print books. People prefer ebooks over print books due to their convenience and portability. Both are implicit. So ebooks are cheaper than print books. People prefer ebooks over print books due to their convenience and portability. These two are the implicit assumptions for the statement. So answer is both 1 and 2 are implicit. Question number 5. The government has announced plans to invest heavily in the development of self-driving vehicles with the goal of having the majority of cars on the road be fully autonomous by 2035. Assumption: self-driving vehicles are a relatively new technology. So, 1 is implicit. The government has announced plans to invest heavily in the development of self-driving vehicles with the goal of having the majority of cars on the road be fully autonomous by 2035, keeping an assumption that self-driving vehicles are relatively a new technology. So which implies that the technology is still in its early stages and require further development. It is new technology, it requires further development. So 1 is implicit. So this supports the assumption 1. So 1 is definitely implicit. And what about 2? The public is not yet fully comfortable with the idea of self-driving vehicles. There is no mention in the statement of any concerns or hesitations from the public regarding self-driving vehicles. While it is possible that some members of the public may not be fully comfortable with the idea of self-driving vehicles, the statement does not suggest that this is a widespread concern or one that is driving the government's investment in this technology. So, as a result, assumption 2 is not implicit. In the statement. So only 1 is implicit. I will go with option A. Then question number 6. The city council has decided to ban plastic bags in all retail stores starting next month. So what can be assumed? What is the assumption on which it is done? Plastic bags are harmful to the environment. It is an assumption on which your statement is based. True. The use of plastic bags is widespread in retail stores. If something is widespread in retail stores, it is going to be banned, is not thinking logically. So 2 is not implicit. Only 1 is implicit. So option A is correct. Then question number 7. Due to recent outbreak of new virus, many schools have decided to switch to remote learning. Assumption 1. Remote learning is an effective method of education. Second one, the new virus is spreading rapidly and is a threat to public health. So I will go with option B. due to the recent outbreak of the virus, many schools have decided to switch to remote learning. So this is said based on the assumption that the new virus is spreading rapidly and is a threat to public health. So 2 can be an implicit assumption, not 1. Remote learning is an effective method of education, cannot be said whether it is effective or not. Okay, because there is no data mentioned in the statement with respect to that. The statement mentioned that many schools have decided to switch to remote learning due to the recent outbreak of the new virus. This implies that there is a concern or issue with the spread of virus and it is its potential impact on public health. So this assumption is implicit in the statement because the statement mentioned that switch to remote learning is a response to the recent outbreak of the new virus. So 2 can be a implicit assumption. What about 1? Remote learning is an effective method of education. Is not implicit in the statement. The statement only mentions that schools have switched to remote learning, not necessarily that it is an effective method of education. The switch to remote learning could be a necessary measure to address the health threat posed by the virus, or it could be an interim solution until the virus is contained. So like that, I cannot take 1 as a implicit assumption, but 2 is a definite implicit assumption. So answer is only 2, option B. Now question number 8. Question number 8. The government has announced plans to build a new highway to connect the major cities in the state. Assumptions. The current transportation system between the 2 major cities is inadequate. The construction of new highway will improve the transportation in the between the 2 major cities. I will go with 1 as a implicit assumption because here the statement mentions that the government has announced plans to build a new highway to connect the 2 major cities in the state. This implies that there is a concern or issue with the current transportation system between the 2 major cities. This assumption is implicit in the statement because the statement mentions that the government has plans to build a new highway, which suggests that the current transportation system is inadequate in some way. So I will go with 1 as implicit assumption. What about 2? 2 states that, the assumption 2 states that the construction of new highway will improve transportation between the 2 major cities. Actually, it is not implicit. The statement only mentions that the plans to build the new highway, not necessarily that it will improve transportation. The construction of the new highway could be a necessary measure to address the inadequacy of the current transportation system, or it could be a part of larger transportation plan that aims to improve the transportation in other ways as well. So I will go for only 1 as a implicit assumption. Now, please see here. Question number 1 to 8 are based on assumptions. Now, question number 9 to 15. In the questions given below, a passage followed by 3 statements which may or may not be inferred from the passage are given. So, select the correct combination of statements that can be inferred. So, you have to draw the inferences. So, a passage is given followed by different statement 1 to 3. So, out of them, which can be inferred? See the passage here, social structures exist in all societies, exist in all societies, providing the framework for how people interact and how resources are allocated. Social structures include government institutions, religious organizations, and family structures. This is the passage given. So from this, you have three statements, 1, 2, 3. The first one is social structures are necessary for a functioning society. Second one is social structures are always beneficial for society. And third one is social structures determine the distribution of resources. Out of these three statements, which of the three can be inferred from the given passage? So, if you see the passage once again, social structures exist in all societies, providing the framework for how people interact and how resources are allocated. Social structures include government institutions, religious organizations, and family structures. So from this, if you see the first statement, the first statement states that social structures are necessary for a functioning society. It is supported by the passage. Yes or no? It is supported by the passage as it states that social structures exist in all societies, providing the framework for how people interact and how resources are allocated. So statement 1 supports the passage, so it can be inferred. What about 2? Statement 2 states that social structures are always beneficial for society, which is not supported by the passage, as there is no indication that social structures are always beneficial for society in the given passage. In the passage, we don't have any indication about the statement 2, so it cannot be inferred. What about 3? Statement 3 states that social structures determine the distribution of resources, which are also correctly inferred from the passage. Social structures include government institutions, religious organizations, and family structures. Social structures determine the distribution of resources. Social structures exist in all societies, providing the framework how people interact and how resources are allocated. Social structures determine the distribution of resources. It is supporting the passage, so answer is both 1 and 3. So option is C. Option is C. Then 10th question. 10th question. This one also based on a passage and inference. The economy of the country has been hit hard by the pandemic, leading to widespread job loss and decrease in purchasing power. So from this passage, which of the following statements can be inferred? First one, more people are struggling to make ends meet. So here statement 1 states that more people are struggling to make ends meet, which is actually supported by the passage, as it states that the economy has been hit hard by the pandemic, leading to widespread job loss and a decrease in the purchasing power, which would make it more difficult for people to make ends meet. So 1 is supported. 1 is supported by the passage. So you can say 1 can be inferred. What about 2? People have more money to spend. Statement 2 states that people have more money to spend, which is not supported by the passage, as there is no indication that people have more money to spend. Yes or no? So it cannot be the inference from the passage. And please see here statement 3. The pandemic will have a lasting impact on the economy. So here statement 3 states that the pandemic will have a lasting impact on the economy, which is supported by the passage, as it states that the economy has been hit hard by the pandemic, indicating that it is going to have a lasting impact. Therefore, I can say 1 and 3, 1 and 3 both are implicit. 1 and 3 both are implicit. So option is C here. Next, question number 11. Technology has changed the way we do many of our daily tasks. It has enabled us to work more efficiently, connect with people around the world, and access information quickly and easily. So from this passage, what can be inferred? First one, technology has made our lives easier. The first one states that technology has made our lives easier. So it is supported by the passage, because the passage states that technology has enabled us to work more efficiently, connect with people around the world, and access information quickly and easily. So technology has made our lives easier. It is supported with the passage. Supported by the passage. So you can say 1 can be inferred. What about 2? Technology has made our lives more difficult. More difficult. Statement 2 here is stating that technology has made our lives more difficult. It is not supported by the passage, so it cannot be inferred. It cannot be inferred. So 2 is not an inference. What about third one? Technology has made communication easier. It is also a valid inference, because here statement 3 states that technology has made communication easier. It is actually supported by the passage, as it states that technology has enabled us to connect with people around the world, making communication easier. Therefore, we can say now both 1 and 3 are what? Valid inferences for the given passage. So option is C. Option is C. Then question number 12. Question number 12. In a recent study, researchers found that increasing levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere are causing ocean acidification, which is making it difficult for marine species to build and maintain their skeletons and shells. As a result, many species of fish and other marine organisms are struggling to adapt to this new environment and are either dying off or moving to other areas. So out of these 3 statements, which can be inferred from the passage? The first one, carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere are causing ocean acidification. It is actually supporting, it is directly mentioned in the passage, and it states that increasing levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere are causing the ocean acidification. So 1 can be inferred from the passage. What about 2? Ocean acidification is affecting the ability of marine species to build and maintain their skeletons and shells. Statement 2 is also directly mentioned in the passage, which states that ocean acidification is making it difficult for marine species to build and maintain their skeletons and shells. So 2 can also be a valid inference. What about 3? Many species of fish and other marine organisms are moving to other areas to avoid the effects of ocean acidification. So statement 3 is indirectly mentioned in the passage, which states that many species of fish and other marine organisms are either dying off or moving to other areas. This implies that they are struggling to adapt to the new environment caused by ocean acidification. So all 1 to 3 are inferences from the passage. Now 13th one. The effects of poverty on children are far reaching and long lasting. Studies show that children from low income families are more likely to experience poor health outcomes, lower academic achievement, and higher rates of behavioral and emotional problems. In addition, poverty can create toxic stress that can affect the developing brain and contribute to lifelong behavioral and health problems. So from this passage, which of the three can be inferred? If you see here, first one, low income children are more likely to suffer from health problems. So it is a valid inference. Second one, the stress caused by poverty can lead to lifelong behavioral and health issues. It is also a valid inference. Third one, low income families have a negative impact on the academic achievement of children. So all 1 to 3 are valid inferences from the passage, because all three statements can be inferred from the passage. The passage states that children from low income families are more likely to experience poor health outcomes, lower academic achievement, and higher rates of behavioral and emotional problems. It also states that the poverty can create toxic stress that can affect the developing brain and contribute to lifelong behavioral and health problems. This implies that low-income children are more likely to suffer from health problems. The stress caused by poverty can lead to lifelong behavioral and health issues. And low-income families have a negative impact on the academic achievement of children. So all the statements 1 to 3 are inferences of the passage. So answer is your option D. Next. So you need to understand this, because definitely you will have questions based on assumptions, questions based on inferences, questions based on arguments. All these things you will have in your examination. So you need to properly understand, you need to practice so many questions, thereby your probability of making mistakes will reduce. Okay, now question number 14. It is also inference based question. Please answer. Social media has become an integral part of society, connecting people from all over the world and facilitating the exchange of ideas and opinions. It has also become a tool for people to express themselves and share their stories. Statements. Social media has made it easier to connect with people. So, it is implicit. Second one, social media has allowed people to express themselves in new ways. It is also implicit. Social media has caused negative social changes which cannot be inferred, from the passage. These two are the inferences which can be drawn from passage, but 3 cannot be inferred. Please see here. Statement 1 states that the social media has made it easier to connect with people. It is supported by the passage, as the passage states that social media has become an integral part of society, connecting people from all over the world, thereby 1 can be inferred. What about 2? Statement 2 states that social media has allowed people to express themselves in new ways. It is also supported by the passage, as it states that, the passage states that it has become a tool for people to express themselves and share their stories. So here both 1 and 2 are valid inferences from the given passage. So option is B here. Next, 15th question and the last question for this sheet. A new study has found that meditation can have significant impact on reducing symptoms of depression. The study participants who practiced mindfulness meditation for 8 weeks showed a significant decrease in the symptoms of depression compared to those who did not practice. The results also showed that the effects of meditation were still present even after a year of study. It's the passage. Now from this what can be inferred? The first one, if you see, mindfulness meditation is effective in reducing symptoms of depression. So it is directly stated in the passage. So if you see here, the study participants who practiced mindfulness meditation for 8 weeks, showed a significant decrease in the symptoms of depression. From this, it can be inferred that mindfulness meditation is effective in reducing the symptoms of depression. So one is implicit. What about two? The effects of mindfulness meditation can last for more than a year. It is also true because the results also showed that the effects of meditation were still present even after a year. From this line, you can say 2 can be a inference. 2 is a inference from the passage. Now what about third? The study participants who did not participate in mindfulness meditation showed no improvement in depression symptoms. So here 3 cannot be inferred because it does not mention anything about the improvement of depression symptoms in those who did not practice mindfulness meditation. It is discussed about those who practiced, the participants who practiced mindfulness meditation. About these, the passage is talking about. The passage does not talk about the participants who did not practice mindfulness meditation. So it is not a inference from passage. So we can say only 1 and 2. Only 1 and 2 are valid inferences. So we can say option A is correct. Option A is correct. I hope all of you have understood what is an inference and what is an assumption. In the last session, in the last class, we already discussed assumptions, but here I am just trying to compare assumption and inference, and I have given some 15 questions and we have solved them. So in the last class, we worked on conclusions, assumptions, arguments, and course of action. In today's session, we have discussed on assumptions and inferences. So in the next session, I will once again come up with one more topic in our critical reasoning. Thank you so much for watching the video and have a great day.